Hello and welcome to Automate version 11 overview by EDTS. I'm Will McGee, Chief Strategy Officer for EDTS, and I have today with me one of our NOC engineers.
Yes, my name is Evan Miller. I've been working for EDTS for about 3 years and glad to show everyone what's new in Automate 11.
Thanks, Evan. We appreciate you joining us. So first, let's start with some housekeeping. LabTech is now officially called Automate. So I'm liable to use that term interchangeably, but moving forward, just want everyone to be aware that ConnectWise has renamed LabTech to Automate. All right, next thing I want to cover is our upgrade schedule. So we're going to perform the Automate version 11 upgrade on the weekend of April 28th. Then, over the summer, we're going to upgrade to Automate version 12. All right, Automate is one of the many tools used by EDTS to deliver service for our managed clients. Please note that we are conducting this demo from our lab environment, so not all of the integrations are present, such as Screen Connect. But when we do the upgrade, all the tools will be fully integrated in, and you'll have access to them. All right, so in Automate version 11, the control center stays virtually the same as what we're all used to using. Evan, would you mind showing us the control center?
Sure thing. If we can get control center back here. There you go.
All right, so as you can see, the tree and all looks pretty much the same. Evan, are there any differences in the control center?
There may be a few, but most of those things are not what you'd be using from day to day. So the big thing is going to be our computer management screen.
Okay, well, fantastic. All right, so Evan, go ahead and switch over to the computer management screen, since that's the one that really changed and where our focus is going to be today. So as you can see here, we have tiles now. So ConnectWise Automate took all of the tabs from the old versions of Automate and converted them into tiles, similar to what Microsoft did with Windows. Screen Connect, which is used by virtually all of us, it's going to look pretty much just the same as it has. It's just going to be a different icon that you'll use to do a Screen Connect session with a workstation. ConnectWise's goal with this update was to make it easier to do everything you need to do for a workstation from this one screen. So easily view all the resources, have access to scripts that you can run, etc. So the goal was really to be able to do everything you need to do for a workstation from this single screen. So in preparation for today's webinar, we've sent the point of contact for each of our downstream clients a email with 3 different documents in them, and I'm just going to hit on those real quick so everybody can make sure they've got the documentation that we provided. So there's a What's New in LabTech 11 guide. That is the 20-page or so document, and that is what we're using today to go through the webinar. So if you have that readily available, just kind of follow along with us in that. There's also a document for how you can customize the computer management screen. And then finally, there is a cheat sheet that is going to list the common items or common features, how you accessed it in the old version, and how you're going to access it in the new version. So that's a single pager. That's the type of thing it'd be great to print it out and tape it to the cue ball, so to speak, or to the side of your monitor. But it's going to be an easy resource for you as you get up to speed with using the new interface. All right, so Evan, let's get started. The first item we want to take a look at is the agent selector. And that's in that upper left-hand corner of the window there. And that allows you, or displays the agent that you're currently connected to. So it has the location and the site name and the name of the computer. So Evan, why don't you show us how you would switch between multiple computers?
Okay, so let me go ahead and get another computer open here. So to switch between computers, well, let me take a step back here. One of the new things with Automate 11 is whenever you open a computer management screen, all of those screens are now collapsed into one screen. So the way to identify what computer you're working with is you just need to pay attention to the computer name here. To switch between other computer management screens that you have open, you just simply click on the computer name, and you'll notice I have another machine here called knock-win7. And if I click on the name of the other machine, now I'm actually viewing the computer management screen for that workstation.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Evan. So, Evan, a lot of times I find myself comparing stats on one machine to another machine. So with this new tiled interface, how am I going to be able to do that?
All right, so if you want to separate out the computer management screens so they're in their own window, you would simply click on the computer name again, and you would select the pop-out button for whichever machine you would like to separate from that group of machines. And now we have two different windows for the two different machines we have open.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so the next item we want to look at is the agent details for an individual computer, Evan.
Yeah. We have our show details menu here. If you click on it, it will provide various information about the system.
Sure. So you can see it's going to list the domain or the work group, the user that's currently logged into the system. If there are multiple users logged into the system, there's going to be a drop-down arrow near the top there, and you'll be able to click that and see what the other users are. That can be useful if you're working with a like an RDS server or something like that, and you want to shadow an exact user session. So the moving to the right, we're going to the next grouping there is called the workspace, and so workspaces allow you to have access to several different groupings of tiles. So, for example, there's an automation workspace, a device workspace, and a plugins workspace. So, if you were troubleshooting a hardware problem, maybe on a workstation, you might start with going to the device workspace. So click on that one, Evan, and let's see what the difference is there. So it looks like it's a scaled down version of the number of tiles, or at least a more focused group of tiles, to help you get right to what's important on resolving the issue. Now, Evan, step us through if I wanted to create a custom workspace.
Okay, so if we go back, well, actually you have this icon just to the left of your My Dashboard workspace. If you click on workspace settings, you have this plus button here. If you click on that, basically you can set a name for your workspace. Then you can scroll through all of the different tiles that you have available. You can check or uncheck the tiles as you like. Simply save it, and we'll go ahead and create just a second workspace just to add a few more tiles here. Save and close. Once you have those created, you can actually right click on the My Dashboard icon, go to custom workspaces, and you can see all of the different workspaces you have available that you've created, and you can tailor those however you like. So if you want to have tiles for something focused for like checking patches on a machine or checking scripts specifically or whatever, you can tailor those workspaces as you like, and you can switch between those workspaces.
Okay. Well, thank you, Evan. That makes sense and looks fairly easy to do. The next, we're going to move on over to the notifications. So the bell there is shows notifications for the system. If when you run a script on a system, it will. I'll tell you what. Why don't you show that? Run a script for us, and then we'll kind of see the notifications that come in.
All right. So if you run a script or a command, most anything that you run on the machine, you will get a flyout notification. So we'll just resend processes. And you'll notice in the upper right-hand corner, you'll have a flyout notification, basically telling you that the command has been queued. And when the command is executing, and you should get a final notification once the command is complete, or if the script is complete.
All right, and then it looks like it holds all those notifications in a queue until you look at them, and then it automatically just clears them out. Is that correct?
You'll actually get all of the history for those notifications.
Okay. All right.
As things run on the machine. So
good enough. Thank you. So in the center of the computer management screen are the tiles, and tiles show a summary in most cases of the data specific to that feature. Now, most tiles can be clicked on to reveal more detailed information and or functionality. The guide that you're following through now lists each of the tiles and information specifically about that. But Evan, for this, let's go ahead and move on now to the Begin menu. It's there in the lower left-hand section of your computer management screen, and Begin is what allows you to run all the available scripts, commands, report options, etc., without having to go back to the navigation tree like you had to do in previous versions of Automate. So, Evan, show us how to use the search box there that's in the Begin menu, because that's a pretty powerful thing.
It is. So one new feature with Automate 11 is they added a search feature. So if you're looking for a specific script or command, you can simply start typing in your script or whatever you're looking for, and it'll quickly take you right to what you're looking for.
Okay. All right. Now, right to the right of the Begin button is the toolbar. Now, the toolbar contains options for the redirectors or tools, for a chat session. This is also where your Screen Connect icon is going to be when we go live with version 11. All right, now, Evan, let's jump all the way over to the right side of the computer management screen. So you'll see there's two statistics there. There's a 0% and a 56%. So those usage indicators are showing you both the CPU and the memory utilization without you having to go anywhere else. So as soon as you click to a user's computer, you can just glance there in that corner and get an idea of resource utilization that's going on. Now, I skipped over a section. Evan, let's go to the agent flags, which is just, that area there.
Right here.
So the agent flags display kind of at a glance what is active on the computer. So the training guide you have there with you has a detailed description of each agent flag, so we won't waste time today going through each of them individually. But Evan, I know you felt like there were a couple that we really needed to make sure we know about.
Yep, some of the main ones that we would normally use day to day, if the agent's online, if a reboot is pending, you'll have basically these icons will highlight if it's meeting those criteria. Whether or not the machine is in maintenance mode, fast talk, and there's the others that just simple, quick at a glance identification of information about the machine.
Okay. All right. Well, Evan, let's move on now and dig into a little bit on the tiles, because it looks fairly simple, but there's a lot of powerful stuff here. So let's start with looking at alerts, Evan.
Okay.
All right. Well, we mentioned earlier that this is a live environment, so we don't have any alerts currently open on this particular system, but this is going to be the tile where it's going to show you the number of current alerts for the system, the last five alerts that have been triggered. So you'd be able to click on that alerts count to get an expanded view of all the alerts for the system. Pretty straightforward, but here again, when you're troubleshooting a user, alerts is going to be one of the first things you want to look at, because these are all based on, is it parsing the event logs, or is it coming off of monitors, or how are we populating the alerts?
Well, most of the alerts are going to come from the various monitors we have set up for the different systems we manage.
Okay, all right, gotcha. Well, to lower left of the alerts, you'll see the antivirus tile, and I do like how they make it big and bold, and it's color coded. So if it's green, you're good. You have AV installed, and the definitions are up to date. If that's red, you've got a problem that needs to be investigated farther. Let's move now and look at commands. So the commands tile displays the number of commands that are currently running on a system, the last 5 commands that ran, kind of similar to how the alerts were set up. But also you'll see that there is the resend. Now, Evan, is that just a shortcut to easily issue that command? You can just click on it?
These are actually commands that have ran. These are those last 5.
Oh, and that's when you were making the notifications work for me.
Yes.
Understood. All right. Well, thank you, Evan. All right. So as we're troubleshooting workstations, we're probably going to be interested in finding out what the network settings are. So the network tile.
There it is.
The network tile displays the local IP address, the subnet mask, router address, MAC address, and so forth for the individual machine. It also has the number of minutes since the last time the screen refreshed there in the lower right-hand corner. So this is one tile that has a lot of additional information. Evan, why don't you show us how to access the expanded view?
All right. So we'll just use the services tile here. So you simply just click on the tile, and this will show you all of the different services on the machine and what state they're in. You can look at if they're what the startup is set to. Then you can, from here, you can start, stop services, restart. You can even create monitors, which is something we mostly handle, but it's there if you need it.
All right. Thank you, Evan. So how about the processes tile?
So,
I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of you, Evan.
No worries. So one nice thing about the expanded view is they provided us a nice little menu here to switch between the different expanded view tiles that we have available in our workspace. So if a tile is not in your workspace, you won't necessarily see it down here, but this is all of the tiles that in the workspace that has an expanded view available. So we can simply just click on whichever tile we like. Let's just say processes. So now we're in the expanded view for processes. We can look at CPU usage, memory usage by process, and there's also a classification provided. Whether these icons here, you'll have a good classification, and unclassified, or even a bad process.
Right. So the items that are tagged as a bad process, Evan, those are, my understanding is those are processes that our NOC has investigated and determined that that process is a known bad. Is that correct?
That's right. And then as well in the platform, there's also some already included information about those processes too.
Okay. All right. Well, it's another great, good place to go and quickly see if there's a bad process running on a workstation.
Yes.
All right. Well, Evan, when I find myself troubleshooting this problem a lot for people, I will have somebody tell me my computer takes so long to start. So in Automate here, we've got a nice easy tile for startup items, and it's going to show us how many items are running at startup. 30. That sounds like a lot, Evan. All right, so Evan just clicked on it, and then he's able to easily see what all is being loaded when the system boots.
Yep. Just good general information about all the different startup items.
Okay. All right, so Evan, a lot of times we have machines that run out of disk space. Which tile do we go to easily see?
So we'd want to go to our storage disk storage tile here. As you can see, we have basically the top level view is just going to show you your OS drive. But if you click on the tile, we can go into the expanded view, and we'll see all of our other drives and what space is available. So as we click on each drive, you'll have your little chart here. It will update, and you'll have a good little representation of utilization on the drive.
Yeah, on this screen, I really like that. This is where you go to see the mapped drives that your users are working with, because a lot of older applications rely on mapped drives to be able to access the database or what have you. And this is a quick place to go and look and make sure that a drive is mapped.
Yep, that's right. So we have just this example drive here. It's drive letter Z, and we have, if you look under the drive here, it'll actually list out what the drive is mapped to.
Okay. All right. Well, Evan, I tell you what, let's move on and look at the system tile.
All right.
So the system tile displays the operating system, the version number, the OS, the Windows score if you're on a newer Windows OS. So the operating system text is going to be blue if it's Windows, gray if it's a Mac, and yellow or orange if it's Linux. Here again, lots of visual cues for us to get used to using, but it really is making our jobs easier once we get used to the new interface and learn it.
Right, and as we've been talking, you'll notice I've kind of been jumping around between these workspaces. So previously I was under this device workspace, and you'll notice I didn't actually, well, there's the Windows system there, there at the end. Another thing that you can do, if I can make it work, is we can actually drag these tiles around. So if you didn't like the position that tile was in, well, actually, no, you can't drag those tiles around in that workspace. Yes, one thing to remember, with these two workspaces, you actually cannot modify them. So that's where you can tailor your custom workspace. So.
Okay. Well, thank you, Evan. Evan, I tell you what, I'd like to spend a little bit more time talking about the expanded view of a tile. So let's go back to services and let's talk about that a little bit more. Okay, so on the expanded view, you've got 6 or 7 different kind of areas to the expanded view. There on the left is the sidebar. All right, and that's going to allow you to filter what you're looking at to more quickly identify what you're looking for. All right, and then you've got your column headers. Now, you can click on a column header to sort in ascending or descending order. You can also right-click on the column to display the filter editor and, apply a filter to that data. All right. Now, the entire middle section of the screen is what's called the grid view. And the grid view is what's displaying the data based on the filter that you've selected. Now, one neat thing about grid view is that you can do a standard copy of the text and export it out to Excel, which I love using Excel to analyze data, so I like having that feature there. All right, now, Evan, up in the upper right corner, that's search, and that's just like any other search text box works. You can easily type a name in there, and it'll try to it'll identify it down in the grid view.
Yep. So if you're looking for a specific service, you can start typing the name, and your results will start filtering down based on what you're typing in.
Okay. All right. So Details is the next area, and that is the right-hand pane. So if you select a service in the grid view, it's going to give you the details for that in the right-hand pane. All right. Let's see, Evan, I think we've already talked about filter, right? But just to show everybody, there in the bottom of the grid view, we've got a filter applied for kernel driver equal false.
Yes. So it's just filtering out system drivers from the other services.
Okay.
So just
makes sense. We shouldn't mess with the kernel
really
anyway.
Need to stop and start drivers usually. So
okay.
It's just something they automatically filter out. But you can select the kernel drivers grouping if you wanted to look into those further.
Okay. Well, at the start of our meeting today, I mentioned that one of the visions that ConnectWise had was the ability to do everything from a single screen, and that tile navigation bar that goes across the bottom of this, I think is true to that. So it allows you're in here, you're looking at your services, but you can easily jump to another section by just clicking on the tile navigation item.
That's right.
Down there at the bottom. Okay. All right. Well, the next thing I'd like to do, Evan, is go through some of the commonly used items and features just to give everybody a feel for how easy it is to move around.
Okay.
So now, there's one thing I want you to show us that we haven't introduced yet, and it's called themes. So for the computer, is it for all of Automate, or is it just for the computer management screen?
It's just for the computer management screen. So based on your preference, so currently we're actually in the dark theme. That's the default. But what we can do is let's just close out of this screen here. If we go up into our control center and select view, theme, and then let's go to the light theme. And then once we reopen a computer management screen, now we have a new theme here, light theme. So you get to choose between the lighter theme or the dark theme. I haven't fully decided what I like yet, but at the moment I'm kind of leaning towards the light screen. It's a little easier for me to read the different text on the screen. So
yeah,
at least you have a choice now.
I agree. It seems to stand out better to me. All right, so Evan, open up two computers. Let's go through how to switch when you have more than one computer again.
Okay, so we'll just minimize this guy, and we'll open up another computer. So you simply just click on the computer name, and you'll have all of the computer screens that you have open. So we only have two, so we're only going to see two. But as you have others open, this list will grow and grow. And once you're done with the computer, if you just want to close out, if you're not quite done with let's say we weren't quite done with the LT11 machine, you want to leave that open. So, but we don't really want to fool around with the Win 7 anymore. We can just simply hit the X, and that will close the screen. So one of those little trip you up things is if you have a group of computer management screens open, if you hit the X, you're going to close out of all of those screens. So you want to make sure you're switching between the machines before you close those out.
10-4. I think I'll probably only do that 15 to 20 times. Okay, so Evan, show us how to run a script on a computer, please.
All right, so just go to back to our begin menu. You'll have your scripts here. Great new feature again, the search, so we can search for our script. Just click on it. This will actually look kind of familiar. There's some aspects of the UI that didn't really change. So this is basically just our schedule for the script. We'll just go ahead and let it run now.
Okay.
And you'll get the notification when you start the script. And as the script status is changed, you'll get additional notifications.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So, Evan, I'm concerned about a process running on a machine. Where do I find my processes?
All So you'll have your processes tab here. You can click into the expanded view. You can check out all of your processes. You can sort by CPU usage. You can end the process if you want to.
Okay. All right, thank you. So, Evan, my next scenario is going to be I'm assigned to the help desk this morning, and I need to change a password for a user. How do I do that?
Yeah. So, one kind of new thing, a lot of you may not be aware. Used to, the users actually fell under the hardware tab. They've actually moved to that under the system tab. So if we go into Windows System, in the left-hand pane here, we'll have users. So these will actually show all of the users for the machine.
Right. So as we think about this tile, that user list there is the local user list. If you're in a domain environment and you're resetting domain accounts, or you need to reset a domain password for a user, you would simply go to one of your DCs, open it up, go to the System tab, and you would have the ability to change their password, unlock their account, etc., all from within Manage. It'll save a minute or two at least, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I really like being able to do that from within Manage. All right, so Evan, we've pretty much gone through everything I think that we wanted to today. I want to take one last second and let's talk about creating a new workspace. I know I always like to create my own custom type thing again. So show us that again.
Okay, so we'll just go back over here to our workspace settings. And we will hit the plus arrow. And we'll just name it Workspace 3. Alright, so I'm just going to create a really, really watered down one just to kind of show how you can customize it. So I'm only going to maybe select, let's just go with 3 tiles. Another neat thing you can do is you can actually select your icon for each specific workspace.
I want mine in the cloud, Evan. Okay, no, we're going to do a firewall. Got it.
And so you can, just to help you identify which workspace you're working in by the icon. So we'll just go ahead and save this and close out of here. And so right now, you'll notice we're currently still in the default My Dashboard, but let's switch over to Workspace 3. So all I did was I right-clicked on the Workspace button and select Workspace 3. Now you'll see the icon that I set is showing up here, and I've got the 4 tiles that I selected. So you can change those however you like. One thing we didn't really talk about is you can right-click on the workspace view here and actually access certain items. So this is basically a menu that's representing all of the tiles that are loaded on the workspace. So you'll see agent status, alerts, commands, and tickets here. So if I switch back over to, let's just go back to the default, and if I right-click again, you'll notice all of those items are, now we have more items because we have more tiles loaded up in the workspace. So that's just another way to navigate around tiles. If you don't want to worry with scrolling back and forth through the workspace, you can just simply right-click and go directly to the tile that you want to see, which will, if you click on it, it'll take you right into the expanded view. So
great, nice. I didn't know that, so thank you. All right, well, that is a quick overview of the new LabTech/Automate version 11 update. As we said at the start, this upgrade really is making changes to the computer management interface. You're still going to have the very familiar look of the LabTech console when you log in. The tree view is going to be the same. Pretty much everything still works the same in this view. You can right click on a resource, access scripts to run on it, reporting, data views, etc. It's really only once you drill into a computer that it's different.
Yep, and coming with Automate 12, we will see a pretty significant difference with the control center. It will get a new look, so everything will get a new look once we get to, well, in 12, the computer management screen is the same, but the control center changes, so don't really have a picture to show you, but it will look different when we get there.
Okay. All right. And so Evan mentioned that update to version 12. We are looking at probably midsummer when we're going to upgrade to version 12. All right. Well, thank you for your time today. We hope you find this information useful.
All right. Thanks. Have a good one.